undeniable aura of valor. He gracefully knelt and offered a salute, expressing remorse for his tardiness in coming to the emperor's aid. Your imperial uncle. Let us depart swiftly. The general of Bei Li has already breached the Wu Gate. Allow me to escort you to the Shenwu Gate. We may yet escape before the enemy surrounds the palace. Upon hearing that the Bei Li forces had reached the Wu Gate, the old emperor's heart sank. Let us hasten. He realized that the only reliable support he had left was Minner. The old emperor, filled with excitement, grasped Li Qimin's hand. However, a flicker of discomfort crossed the heir's face as he casually withdrew his hand. The old emperor, oblivious, anxiously inquired, Minner, where is your mother? At the mention of his mother, a fleeting glimmer of disdain and loathing crossed Li Qimin's once bright eyes, only to be expertly concealed moments later. Return to your imperial uncle. My mother is recuperating at the suburban villa. Excellent. We shall retrieve her on our way out. With the north now occupied by the Bei Li, you must lead the way south with your troops, and we shall devise our next steps thereafter. Your imperial uncle. Will my father be accompanying us? Upon hearing of his beloved brother, the old emperor's countenance shifted to one of unease. Ah, your father, of course, will join us. He is my own brother. How could I place him in peril? Indeed, your imperial uncle speaks true. The youth's face blossomed with a pure smile as he drew his sword and led the soldiers in escorting the old emperor towards the Shenwu Gate. Yet, unnoticed by anyone, resentment lingered in Li Qimin's eyes as he regarded the old emperor. Thus, the capital of Deqian fell entirely under the dominion of Bei Li, and in an instant, the old emperor transformed from the revered sovereign into a mere wretched fugitive. The imperial power crumbled, leading various lords to declare themselves kings. And the formerly unified territories of Deqian splintered into numerous fragmented local powers. 3 years ahead of the timeline described in the original text, Deqian was plunged into utter chaos. Meanwhile, Su Qingning and Xiao Huaishua, who were accompanying the exiled convoy, received news of this upheaval only days later. Bored and gazing at the trees and grasses scorched by the relentless sun outside the donkey cart, Su Qingning gently pleaded, Husband, let us leave the exile convoy and journey on our own. It is so dreadfully dull to follow them. Xiao Huaishua, channeling his inner strength, turned the letter in his hand to dust, allowing it to scatter in the wind. With one hand guiding the donkey cart, and the other reassuringly patting her back, he replied, Very well, but not just yet. Our identities are too sensitive. Along this route, we are under surveillance not only from the Deqian imperial family, but also from agents dispatched by various nations. The reason they have not acted against us thus far is simply that they consider us to be powerless exiles. Should we attempt to escape, it would indicate ambition, and they would undoubtedly pursue us relentlessly. Therefore, unless we wish to face an unending hunt, we must devise an alternative plan. Su Qingning nodded in agreement. Although her spatial resources contained many advanced weapons beyond this era, the sheer numbers of their adversaries posed a significant threat. Even if they could not harm her, they could certainly vex her. A sly smile then crossed her face as she embraced Xiao Huaishua, whispering softly in his ear, In that case, husband, let us feign death. The warmth of her breath brushed against his ear, sending a tremor through Xiao Huaishua's heart. Indeed, my wife is truly clever. As the Xiao family rode at the front of the donkey cart, filled with laughter and cheer, the Su family, forced to walk under the scorching sun, found their situation quite dire. After inadvertently consuming a mind-altering potion, the Su family had been in a stupor for 3 days, and upon waking, they appeared somewhat disoriented. Though they often seemed normal, Su Qingning occasionally observed her family members smiling foolishly and drooling at empty spaces. Clearly, the after-effects of the drug were significant, desperate, and impoverished. Several aunts within the Su family had resorted to selling their bodies. Su Bingxing not only failed to intervene, but often facilitated their endeavors, pocketing a commission for himself. Now that the Su family had accrued some meager earnings, they spoke with a newfound confidence. As the exile convoy trudged under the relentless sun for the better part of the morning, they chanced upon a small inn ahead, prompting Su Bingxing to feign exhaustion. Officials, we can hardly continue. I see no resting place within miles. Might we stop at the inn ahead for a meal before proceeding? Zhao Jinhai, noticing the time was ripe for a break, commanded the group to rest. Most members of the convoy opted to cook their own meals or consume the black buns distributed by the officials. Only the Su family, having gained a little wealth, rushed eagerly into the nearby inn. As Su Qingyin passed by Su Qingning, she deliberately flaunted her unfortunate appearance, exclaiming, Ah, having money is delightful. We can afford to enter the inn for buns and steamed buns. Unlike some, who cannot devise a means to earn money and must now rely on foraged wild vegetables for sustenance. Su Qingning sighed in silence, quietly taking a seat inside the spacious donkey cart with Xiao Huaishua, from which she produced an array of exquisite dishes sponsored by the crown prince, including scallion beef, Longjing bamboo fungus, 8 treasure wild chicken, and crystal plum blossom buns. She also brought forth sets of utensils sponsored by the imperial kitchen, sharing the feast with the Xiao family. With the cart curtains drawn and a strategic positioning to avoid the wind blowing towards the crowd, the family enjoyed their meal in splendid secrecy. The Xiao family shared dishes amicably, creating a harmonious scene, while the Su family, reveling in their newfound status, could not contain their exuberance. Eager for everyone to know their elevated standing. Ah, truly fragrant. The inn's food is far superior to our own, they exclaimed. Having money is wonderful. Su Bingsheng, in an unusually good mood, even took the time to scold Su Qingyin, saying, "Enjoy your meal, dear girl, do not look outside. That little wretch, Su Qingning, is not worthy of our sympathy. She never thought to share her food with us when she had enough. Why should we share with her now?" Yes, father speaks rightly. Su Qingyin proudly puffed out her meager chest, taking a large bite of her bun. Just as she was savoring the delicious meat bun, she suddenly caught sight of something. Startled, her pupils dilated suddenly as she hurled the bun from her hand and began to vomit violently. Ah, Nyo, how could there be nails? Ugh. This is not beef, it is human flesh. Chapter 85. Even emperors have counterfeit versions? As her words fell, the members of the Su family in the inn sensed something amiss. Their faces turned pallid, and they discarded their buns, retching in unison. The inn was soon filled with a horrific stench, as the Su family members expelled their bile, but could not quell the overwhelming nausea. They all slumped weakly onto the filthy floor. Bang! Su Qingji, infuriated, slammed his hand on the table, causing his emaciated frame to jump. How dare you? You are nothing but a den of thieves, selling human flesh as beef to us. Compensate us. You must pay each of us 50 taels of silver today, or we shall report you to the authorities. The innkeeper, a burly man who appeared twice as robust as Su Qingji, immediately brandished a thick wooden club and struck down heavily. Bang! The table before Su Qingji was split in two, splinters flying in every direction, covering him in debris. The several fierce attendants behind him, as if summoned by a signal, raised their clubs and surrounded the Su family, swiftly cutting off all avenues of escape. Humph! I have been robbing in this area for years, and it is the first time I have encountered someone attempting to swindle us. Let me tell you, the officials around here all heed our elder brother's commands. Go ahead and report us, and we shall see who ends up regretting it. The menacing figures were all muscular, with fierce brows and glaring eyes. Terrified, Su Qingji's legs turned to jelly, and he collapsed onto the filthy ground. The rest of the Su family trembled in fear, their grievances silenced. Su Bingsheng was the first to regain his composure. He promptly produced a silver ingot and handed it to the innkeeper, smiling as he said, "Ah, great hero, please temper your anger. It was merely my child's folly. He did not mean to offend you. It is a great fortune for us to dine in your establishment. We have nearly finished our meal. We will pay for the food and take our leave without disturbing your business." Humph. The innkeeper scoffed, scarcely glancing at Su Bingsheng. After weighing the silver ingot, he nodded in satisfaction and signaled the burly attendants at the door to let the foolish group exit. The Su family finally breathed a sigh of relief, each one jostling to flee out the door. However, Su Qingji, unwilling to be slighted, spat on the ground before leaving, muttering angrily, "Bah! What bad luck! My father's money has gone to the dogs. Oh dear, Jier, please hold your tongue." Lady Shun was taken aback that her eldest son dared to insult others while still in the den of thieves, and she hurriedly reached out to cover his mouth. But it was too late. Bang! The heavy wooden door of the inn was suddenly slammed shut. The aunt running ahead stumbled and struck her forehead, swelling painfully. "This insolent brat dares to insult us. Brothers, attack. Give him a good beating. Bang, bang, bang. Help, you scoundrels. How dare you hit me? Do you know who my father is? Ah, stop it, stop it. Great hero, spare me. I realize my mistake." Bang, bang, bang. It was astonishing how every word that escaped Su Qingji's mouth seemed to provoke further ire. The more he shouted, the more ferociously the burly men struck. Great hero, have mercy. My son is young and ignorant. I implore you to spare him this once. Great hero, please stop. I still have money. I will give you all my money. Just let my son go." Lady Shun and Su Bingsheng rushed forward to rescue Su Qingji, only to find themselves pinned to the ground and beaten mercilessly. The remaining members of the Su family were terrified, inching away to distance themselves, eager to avoid being caught in the fray. A few of Lady Shun's discontented concubines even stifled laughs behind their hands. Yet, their amusement was short-lived as the burly men soon vented their anger. The innkeeper looked at the three members of the Su family, their heads swollen, his gaze lingering contemptuously on Lady Shun's disfigured face for a moment before ordering, "Search them, take all their valuables, and throw them out." The burly men immediately surrounded the Su family, their eyes gleaming with greed. They were far more ruthless than the officials from the capital, thoroughly ransacking both men and women of the Su family. Several beautiful concubines were not only robbed, but also groped, and the Su family was stripped of every last coin they possessed. Before long, the exiled group saw the once arrogant Su family being unceremoniously thrown out of the inn like refuse. It vividly illustrated the swift transformation from possessing a few coins to being utterly destitute in mere moments. Meanwhile, the Xiao family, traveling in a donkey cart, was greatly shocked by the distant sounds emanating from the inn. Fortunately, they had eaten quickly and were at a safe distance. Otherwise, they might have lost their appetites due to the Su family's plight. Zhang Qinxue swiftly covered Xiao Qingya's ears with her hands, fearful that the anguished cries of the Su family would disturb the young girl. Xiao Qingming felt a chill run down her spine and immediately asked Xiao Ai, could it be that they truly consumed human flesh? Xiao Ai's voice was filled with disgust. Sister Su, that was indeed human flesh. The cost of selling human flesh is significantly lower than that of beef. Beef needs to be procured from nearby villages, while human flesh can be sourced directly from the nearby graveyard. They have been selling human flesh as beef for many years. It was just that today the kitchen mishandled it, leading to the Su family's discovery. Xiao Qingming. Indeed. It is said that folk heroes arise in times of turmoil. This audacious maneuver has left Sister Su astounded for an entire year. These people are far too brazen. It seems they have someone backing them. Who is their elder brother? Upon hearing this, Xiao Ai became even angrier, as if she wished to leap through the screen and strike those men. It is a local tyrant in this vicinity. Those burly men are all subordinates of that local tyrant. They are actually escaped convicts from the prison, having taken to banditry here and gradually becoming a force no one dares to provoke. They operate with impunity, committing all manner of heinous acts. Bullying the weak, robbing, and stealing are merely the lowest of their misdeeds. They have committed far worse atrocities. Xiao Qingming felt a shiver run down her spine and agreed, it is evident. After all, they have resorted to trading human flesh for beef, so one cannot expect them to possess any decency. Suddenly, Xiao Qingming recalled that the original text indeed mentioned these individuals. However, at that time, the world was not yet in chaos, and these mountain bandits were not as rampant, having not troubled the passing exiled groups, hence the lack of detailed descriptions in the text. She lifted her head to survey the surroundings and noticed a rudimentary wooden stockade not far up the mountain. A strange sensation washed over her. Should not these desperate rogues reside in a lavish hideout, given their penchant for pillaging and burning? To her surprise, this place was even less grand than the temple on another mountaintop. What was going on? These individuals engage in heinous acts of arson and plunder, only to donate the ill-gotten gains to temples in pursuit of merit? Su Qingming found this world increasingly surreal. However, she had little inclination to delve into the gossip of others. In their vicinity, after finishing their meal, everyone began to tidy up. Before long, the exiled party resumed their journey. While the Xiao family was filled with laughter and joy, the Su family faced unbearable hardships. The members of the Su family had just endured a futile struggle, yielding no benefit, and each of them was left starving. Yet they had no choice but to continue following the exiled party. Aunt Shun and the others were particularly battered, resembling individuals whose bodies had been dismantled, their faces displaying a profound sense of despair. Previously, they had the energy to mock the Xiao family and Su Qingming, but now, they lacked the strength to utter a single word. The midday sun blazed like a furnace, rendering the members of the exiled party dizzy and weary. Even Su Qingming, who had the luxury of a vehicle and air conditioning, felt drowsy. Leaning against Xiao Huaishua's shoulder, she appeared on the verge of slumber, concerned that she might fall. Xiao Huaishua instinctively wrapped his arms around her. You should rest inside the carriage. It is more comfortable. If you find it too cramped to stretch out, let fourth brother come sit with me while you lie down and sleep. In a daze, Su Qingming shook her head, instinctively wrapping her arms around his lean waist, relishing this rare moment of tranquility. Suddenly, a throng of around 100 individuals charged down from a nearby hillside, swiftly encircling the exiled party. The leader pointed an accusing finger at Su Qingji, who was trailing at the back of the group, and bellowed, "Humph! You dare insult our valiant general, and think you can escape? Insulting our valiant general is tantamount to insulting our Xinhua village. No, our Xinhua nation. Your Majesty, that wretched brat just referred to our valiant general as a dog. Valiant general? Your Majesty." Upon hearing these two titles, Su Qingming immediately shook off her drowsiness and sat upright. She then beheld the innkeeper from earlier, now draped in a red cloth, brandishing a hoe with an imposing presence. Beside him stood a makeshift emperor, clad in a cloth of a dubious yellow hue, seated cross-legged on a makeshift palanquin, flanked by two common women holding banana leaves as a form of ceremonial display. The so-called soldiers were dressed in the most bizarre manner imaginable, some donning turtle shells as armor, others using frying pans as helmets, and some wielding clothes-drying poles as swords, with washboards serving as shields. Su Qingming was taken aback. Initially, she thought the term local emperor was merely metaphorical, only to discover that it was indeed a proper noun. In this chaotic world, the bandit chief had taken it upon himself to declare himself an emperor. She was momentarily stunned, then felt Xiao Huaishua tug at her. He shielded her behind him. Meanwhile, the local emperor angrily pounded on his rudimentary palanquin, shouting, "This is intolerable. Yu Linwei, go drag that little brat out. Those exiles accompanying him are equally unforgivable. We need laborers for the royal tomb we are constructing. Take this lot there to toil." As soon as he finished speaking, the ragtag band of imitation Yu Linwei charged forward with hoes, kitchen knives, and washboards aimed at the exiled party. How audacious! Before our emperor. You still dare to sit? One of the Yu Linwei, seeing Su Qingming and the others seated, bellowed with fury, swinging a kitchen knife towards Su Qingning's face. As if responding to her thoughts, Su Qingning felt a sharp, chilling breeze rush toward the assailant's temple, causing him to suddenly experience a searing pain in his head, leading him to topple backward. These self-proclaimed bandits were utterly detestable. Su Qingning had never felt such disdain for a group of people before. Drawing a large knife from her spatial pocket, she prepared to strike down another attacker. However, at that moment, Xiao Huaishua grasped her hand and whispered in her ear, "Ningning, don't we wish to escape death? This is an excellent opportunity." Realization dawned upon Su Qingning. She exchanged glances with the members of the Xiao family in the carriage, and they all feigned panic as they dismounted the mule cart. Zhao Jinhai and the Wang and Li families, who had connections with the Xiao family, also noticed Xiao Huaishua's signal. They abandoned any notion of resistance, pretending to be weak and vulnerable as they were escorted into the bandits' mountain palace. This palace, formerly known as Old Tiger Stronghold, had only recently been renamed after the bandit chief proclaimed himself emperor. The stronghold, or rather, the palace, was perched atop Old Tiger Mountain. As Xiao Huaishua continued to feign paralysis, he could not ascend the numerous steps alone and had to rely on Xiao Huaijin to carry him up the steep stairway. Upon reaching the palace entrance, they encountered two massive watchtowers made of wood, flanking a gate that resembled a wooden fence. Su Qingning hesitated to push open the so-called palace gate, fearing she might accidentally break it, inciting accusations of disrespecting imperial authority. The hundreds of exiles were confined within a vast enclosure, instructed to rest there for the night before being sent to work at the royal tomb the following day. Throughout their journey, most of the exiles had received care from Su Qingning and the Xiao family, leading them to look up to them. Seeing that they accepted the arrangements without protest, they obediently followed into the enclosure. It seemed the Su family had indeed provoked the so-called valiant general, as the bandits had placed them in a separate small cell nearby. Su Qingji, gazing at the thick chains before him, felt genuine fear. He could distinctly sense that these bandits were unlike any villains he had encountered before. The previous wrongdoers he had met still possessed a shred of humanity, but these bandits, who would sell even human flesh, exhibited none whatsoever, capable of committing any atrocity. His terror escalated as he noticed several bandits in the distance pointing at him and discussing something, prompting him to immediately kneel and bash his head on the ground. "Sirs, I recognize my errors. I should never have crossed paths with your esteemed valiant general. I truly understand my mistakes. I will never dare again. I implore you to spare me." The Su family matriarchs, equally terrified, wept and pleaded for mercy. "Oh, noble sirs, we truly know our faults. We beg you to spare us this time. We are exiles sent to Lingnan. You cannot detain us unlawfully." Their chorus of cries reverberated through the air, causing headaches for the nearby imitation Yu Linwei. The leader, visibly annoyed, approached and unlocked the cell door holding the Su family. "All of you, come out." The Su family, believing their pleas had genuinely moved the bandits, rushed toward the door in sheer joy. "Thank you, noble sir. You are truly kind. I shall pray for your health and safety every day." "Noble sir, the other exiles seem quite fond of your domain. If you let us go, they can stay here as your laborers." Before the Su family could finish their flattery, the leader, exasperated, barked, "Silence! Take the fattest one, the wretched brat who caused trouble at the inn, and drag him to the kitchen to clean and slaughter him. This evening, the emperor has guests to entertain." The remaining members of the Su family were all dragged to the kitchen to be cleaned and prepared. Chapter 87. The Su family was served at the dining table. Little did they anticipate that the Grim Reaper would soon descend upon them, causing them to collapse in terror. Su Qingning, who was resting with her eyes closed beside Xiao Huaishua, was equally startled and asked Xiao Ai, "Is it possible? Are these people not only selling human flesh to cut costs, but are they consuming it themselves?" Xiao Ai's voice dripped with disdain. "They often pass off human flesh as beef. Over time, they have come to believe there is no difference between the two. The reason this local tyrant consumes human flesh is primarily to save money for offerings to the Buddha." Su Qingning exclaimed, "Isn't that absurd? This local tyrant truly uses money earned from burning, killing, and looting to make offerings to the Buddha?" Xiao Ai could hardly contain her laughter, growing more animated as she continued. "He has no choice. He is also a victim. That fake monk, the national master, constantly deceives him into believing that the more he offers, the more the Buddha will bless him. In fact, all the money he offers ends up in the national master's pocket." Su Qingning replied, "Isn't that a form of fraud? The local tyrant doesn't seem foolish at all. Does he truly fall for such tricks?" Xiao Ai explained. At first, he didn't believe it. His wife struggled to conceive. But after consulting the fake monk, she bore 5 children in 5 years. Following that, the monk accurately predicted the weather multiple times, which led the local tyrant to trust him implicitly. Su Qingning felt a sense of déjà vu. "Could it be what I am thinking? Ha! It is exactly as you think." Xiao Ai was nearly in stitches, continuing, "Those children are indeed the offspring of his wife and the fake monk." Ironically, the local tyrant is completely convinced, increasingly trusting the fake monk and donating his wealth to the temple next door. On the surface, this local tyrant appears imposing. But in reality, he is merely working for the fake monk, and he does so willingly. Su Qingming felt as though her mind was about to shatter. She never imagined that this seemingly fierce man was, in fact, a great philanthropist. Living in tattered clothes and a dilapidated wooden house, he tirelessly engaged in robbery. All for the sake of his wife, her lover, and their 5 children to lead a happy life. Who would have thought this man possessed such grand ambitions? As she stood there, her jaw nearly dropping in shock, the Su family was wailing in agony. Su Qingji, realizing his impending doom, lost control of his bodily functions and clung desperately to the ground, refusing to move an inch further. The 4 bandits had no choice but to lift his limbs and carry him away. Help! Father! Mother! I don't want to end up as a dish. Please, spare me, he cried, struggling like a pig about to be slaughtered. As they passed by the enclosure where Su Qingming and the others were, an idea struck him, and he shouted, "Officials, spare my life. I may be fat, but I assure you, I am not delicious. Look at the others in the Exile group. Many have trained for long periods and are lean and fit. Their meat must be far tastier than mine." His cry seemed to awaken the other pale-faced members of the Su family, who began clamoring in unison. "Officials, we have been eating black buns for half a month. Our hair is dry and yellow. You must look at the Xiao family in the Exile group. They eat well every day, and their flesh is undoubtedly more nourishing. Yes, officials, those are the legendary Xiao family. Their members are not only intelligent, but also physically strong. Eating them might even enhance your mental faculties. Indeed, officials, that girl sitting in the enclosure is our eldest daughter. When she was born, the air was fragrant, and colorful clouds rose in the sky. Even the master from Wanfo Temple proclaimed her to be a goddess. Consuming her will surely provide great benefits. We are merely ordinary, unnutritious people. You can eat us later." In a desperate bid to avoid being consumed, the Su family fervently promoted the others in the enclosure, resorting to lies that elevated Su Qingming and the Xiao family to mythical status. The counterfeit guards, who were merely escaped convicts with little education, were genuinely intrigued and directed their gazes towards Su Qingming. At that moment, a dozen more counterfeit guards arrived, led by a man of evidently higher rank. Upon entering, he bellowed, "What are you still dawdling for? Today the National Master has instructed you to prepare those fools who insulted the great general." "Yes, yes, Black Tiger General. We understand." The head of the dungeon guards bowed respectfully as he summoned more strong men to carry the Su family to a nearby pond, where they were washed clean and bound with red silk before being taken away. As a large group departed, the head of the guards remained preoccupied with what the Su family had said about the goddess reincarnation. His gaze wandered to where the Su family had pointed, and he gasped in astonishment, captivated by a woman who exuded beauty despite the dirt on her face. Wiping away the drool that had escaped him, he rushed over and opened the prison door, taking care to clean his hands before extending one towards Su Qingming. "Hee, my lady, when they said you were a goddess reincarnate, I was skeptical, but seeing you in person is utterly convincing. A person as enchanting as you must surely be a goddess. This dungeon is far too filthy for someone of your stature. Come, let me take you to my quarters. We can have a lovely chat." He grinned, revealing 2 yellowed teeth, his demeanor deceptively amiable. In reality, he had already signaled to several nearby bandits, ready to forcibly take her to bed should she refuse. "Is that so? What would you like to discuss, brother?" Su Qingming feigned interest, mimicking Su Qingming's mannerisms as she provocatively swayed her waist, pretending to extend her hand. Just then, a silver flash shot from Xiao Huaishua's sleeve, swiftly severing the bandit's hand, which fell to the ground. "Ah, it hurts. Who attacked me?" The sudden turn of events left the bandit in shock, and as he realized his hand was gone, excruciating pain surged through him. He collapsed, clutching his severed arm and sobbing. Boss, what happened?" A dozen bandits rushed over to assess his injury. Su Qingming sighed in resignation. She had intended to let them experience a more thrilling encounter, but Xiao Huaishua had thwarted her plans. However, upon meeting his slightly resentful gaze, she immediately felt deflated, turning her head in pretense as if nothing had occurred. "It was him. He severed our leader's hand. The dignity of our Xinghua kingdom must not be trampled upon by outsiders. Brothers, attack. Capture that man and bring him to the king's table." The bandits rolled up their sleeves and charged toward Xiao Huaishua. Chapter 88. The fire burns the counterfeit palace. In the next instant, the bandits witnessed something shooting from Xiao Huaishua's sleeve, bursting into a shower of sparks in the air, rapidly approaching them. Before they could react, they felt a chill at their throats, and darkness enveloped them as they collapsed to the ground. The atmosphere grew tense, punctuated only by the sound of a pin dropping. For the majority of the exiles, it was their first time witnessing the ruthless slaughter executed by Xiao Huaishua on such a grand scale. They were astounded to see a dozen burly men dispatched with such swiftness and efficiency. Aside from the Wang and Li families, who had maintained amicable relations with the Xiao clan, others were struck by the stark realization of their own inadequacies in comparison to the god of war of Daqian. Overwhelmed by shock, they instinctively recoiled. Before anyone could voice their astonishment, a sudden burst of crimson light caught their attention. A cluster of wooden huts was swiftly engulfed by flames. Given the arid conditions, the inferno raged uncontrollably, rapidly expanding into a sea of fire that soon threatened the dungeon. Water. We need water to extinguish the flames. Ah, my belongings are still inside. Damn it. The clothes I stole this morning are in there. The nearby bandits, alarmed by the ferocious blaze, rushed to fetch water to douse the flames. This fire had been set by Su Qingning at the behest of Xiaowai. Observing that all the bandits were preoccupied with the desperate attempt to combat the fire, she seized the opportunity to summon a gust of wind, shattering the frail wooden barricade and creating an opening. She commanded, "The fire is less intense to the east. Everyone evacuate in that direction." As they moved eastward along the mountain path towards the official road, the exiles had come to trust Su Qingning implicitly. Her calm demeanor gradually quelled their initial panic, allowing them to organize their retreat. Zhao Jinhai and Li Yong, having received instructions from Su Qingning, led the exiles swiftly towards the east. Li Wenba, the eldest son of the Li family, lingered at the back and glanced around, only to realize that none of the Xiao family members had followed. Alarmed, he felt compelled to rush back into the flames to rescue them. "Madam, take good care of Long and our parents. I will return shortly. Be careful," replied Lu Jia, aware of the escalating danger of the fire. However, the third young mistress of the Xiao family had once saved their son's life, and they had received much kindness from the Xiao family throughout their journey. They could not stand idly by. Li Wenba nodded, tearing off a piece of cloth to cover his mouth and nose as he prepared to charge in, only to be restrained by Wang Hongwen, the head of the Wang family. Infuriated, Li Wenba attempted to shake him off. "Wang, what are you doing? The Xiao family has treated you well. Are you truly going to abandon them in their time of need? Listen to me, Li," Wang Hongwen whispered earnestly. "Do you believe you are a match for Xiao Huaishua?" At this, Li Wenba's eyes widened in disbelief. "How could I compare? He is a legendary figure." "Precisely. If you manage to escape, do you really think the Xiao family would remain trapped?" As a military officer, Wang Hongwen had a deeper understanding of Xiao Huaishua than Li Wenba, a scholar. He believed that the flames posed no threat to the Xiao family. They had likely escaped and were merely pursuing other objectives. Aware of the gravity of the situation, he opted for this subtle approach. Li Wenba, not lacking in intelligence, grasped the implication of Wang Hongwen's words. Others in the exile group also began to sense the truth. But after their journey together, the spies had been purged, leaving only those who had received aid from the Xiao family. They all tacitly complied with the orders of Zhao Jinhai and Li Yang. Upon reaching the official road, Zhao Jinhai and Li Yang spotted several donkey carts laden with supplies, evidently prepared for them by Su Qingning. They exchanged a glance, wordlessly acknowledging their understanding, and proceeded on their journey. It was clear that their destination lay not where the exiles were meant to go, but rather to the place arranged by Su Qingning. In a time of chaos, who still heed the emperor's commands? The wise had already silently accepted Su Jia's words as edicts. Meanwhile, as the exiles fled, a cadre of Xiao family hidden guards entered, escorting the others down a concealed path in the opposite direction. "Ningning, what are you still doing here? Hurry," grandmother urged, pulling Su Qingning along. Yet Su Qingning smiled and squeezed her hand affectionately. "Grandmother, you go ahead. Ahua and I have matters to attend to. We shall rejoin you shortly." Lu Qing observed her grandson, now able to stand, and felt immense gratitude towards Su Qingning. However, her concern surfaced. "Why do you tire yourself so? Can't this boy handle the situation?" She had always believed that marrying into the Xiao family was enough of a burden for Ningning, and she wished to spare her any additional strain. Su Qingning, however, was not pleased. She was determined to confront the bandits and settle scores herself. The thrill of revenge was something she wished to relish personally. Having someone else carry out her vengeance would diminish her satisfaction. Yet she refrained from sharing her fierce intentions with her grandmother, instead saying, "Oh, grandmother, I simply wish to stretch my legs after sitting here for so long. You all go ahead. I assure you, I am not weary." "Very well. We shall wait for your return to share dinner." Lu Qing, noticing her eager demeanor, felt reassured and relented. Before departing, she reminded Xiao Huaishua to ensure the safety of her granddaughter-in-law, then set off with the others. As they left, another small group of Xiao family dark guards arrived. Following Xiao Huaishua's orders, they had procured 8 corpses resembling the Xiao family members from a nearby graveyard, placing them within the enclosure to fabricate evidence that the Xiao family had perished in the flames. Given Xiao Huaishua's formidable reputation, it was indeed improbable that he would succumb to a mere fire. Su Qingning directed the guards to create signs of struggle nearby, making it appear as if the Xiao family had been besieged by numerous royal hidden guards and had perished in the inferno. Once all was in place, Su Qingning waved her hand. "All right, go protect grandmother and the others. There is a valley 3 miles west, nestled by the mountains and water. We shall spend the night there." Xiao Huaishua had previously informed these guards that Su Qingning's words carried the weight of his own. Without hesitation, they followed her directive and proceeded to catch up with the fleeing group. Su Qingning added more fuel to the fire before teleporting away with Xiao Huaishua. On the other side of the mountain, the local warlord and his motley crew of counterfeit ministers were enjoying a raucous bonfire celebration. In the expansive clearing, a massive pot was boiling, while atop an elevated platform sat the impostor emperor draped in a garish yellow cloth. Beside him was a monk clad in opulent robes, and below them sat a dozen counterfeit generals in various garb. Several of the Su family's charming concubines had settled beside a few favored generals. Although serving these raucous bandits was somewhat humiliating, at least they had avoided being cooked themselves, thus escaping a dire fate. The concubines cast glances at the disfigured Shin mother and daughter, their expressions betraying a hint of schadenfreude. Meanwhile, Su Qingji had been cleaned up and firmly secured to a wooden frame. The national master of the Xinhua kingdom was known for his sharp wit, frequently devising new entertainments to amuse the local warlord. Today marks the moment he asserted that only fresh meat is truly delectable. Thus, one must seize the opportunity to carve the flesh while the creature is still alive and place it into the pot for cooking, ensuring the utmost flavor. This despot, reveling in such grotesque whims, remained unfazed even as chaos erupted in the backyard. He merely dispatched a contingent to extinguish the flames while allowing the executioner to continue his grim work. Bound to the wooden frame, Su Qingji comprehended the grim fate that awaited him. For this tyrant, indulging in fresh meat bore no distinction from enduring the torturous death of Lingqi. He could scarcely fathom that uttering a single sentence would lead to such a dire outcome. As the icy blade grazed his abdomen, a shiver coursed through him, awakening the chilling reality of his imminent demise. Yet, at that moment, he beheld two figures approaching hand in hand. A sudden glimmer of hope ignited within him, and he shouted desperately, "Your Majesty, spare me. I suffer from halitosis, body odor, and the stench of urine. Consuming me would bring you illness. Do you not see who approaches? They are my sister and brother-in-law. One is the legendary divine general, and the other is a reincarnated goddess. By consuming them, you would not only extend your life, but also enhance your vitality. What do I have that is appetizing? They are far more delectable and beneficial to you. Do not delay. Once this opportunity is lost, it shall not return. Regardless, anyone could be consumed, but it must not be me, Su Qingji." In his final moments, Su Qingji summoned an extraordinary burst of energy, speaking with unprecedented speed to promote Su Qingming and her companion. The tyrant, having heard tales of Xiao Huaishua, took heed of his words. Casting a cursory glance at the approaching duo, he remarked impatiently, "These two do indeed appear more promising. Very well, the fat one shall be reserved for supper tonight. For now, have this man and woman chopped up." A heavy sigh of relief escaped Su Qingji. A dozen counterfeit Yulin guards surrounded Su Qingming and her companion, ropes in hand. "There is no need for so many, for will suffice to bind them. The rest should fetch 2 wooden frames and a basin of water. We shall wash them here before they enter the pot." These mountain bandits, having lived in impoverished regions, were unfamiliar with refined martial skills. In their eyes, the one with the most muscle was deemed the strongest. Thus, they did not regard the 2 lean figures as threats. The leader, lacking even a weapon, rolled up his sleeves, prepared to seize both individuals. However, he barely registered Xiao Huaishua's swift movements before several bandits were felled to the ground in an instant. The leader had no time to utter a word before he felt a sharp pain in his forehead, followed by a sudden weakness that caused him to collapse. The remaining bandits, stunned by such rapidity, were left breathless. It was Su Qingji's first encounter witnessing his brother-in-law's lethal prowess, and he could hardly believe that the burly bandits were so easily dispatched. His face turned pale with terror as he saw Su Qingming approaching with a smile, and his fear reached its zenith. Realizing his end was near, he unleashed a remarkable strength, somehow breaking free from his bindings and desperately shuffling backward. "Please, do not come closer," he pleaded. Su Qingming, with an unsettling smile, leaned slightly forward to look down at him. "Oh, dear brother, weren't you quite confident just moments ago? What are you afraid of now?" "Ning, let us speak calmly," Su Qingji stammered, trembling uncontrollably. With an unseen barrier behind him, he could not retreat further and began to shuffle sideways instead. Mere words would not suffice. Action is the only true measure of truth. Previously, he had claimed his meat was unappetizing. How could he know without tasting it? Why not jump in and prove it? No, Ning, I was merely speaking in jest." Su Qingji's voice quivered as he struggled to articulate his fear. He had never witnessed such an uncanny scene. Su Qingming, radiant and enchanting, spoke with a melodious tone. Yet every gesture and word emanated an aura of impending death. "Was that so? So, your flesh is not inedible, but rather quite delectable. Shouldn't it be cooked for everyone to sample?" Su Qingming seemed in high spirits, her eyes sparkling as she smiled. Yet the murderous intent radiating from her formed an impenetrable net, ensnaring Su Qingji, who was already seated on the ground. "Ning, this must be a misunderstanding," he whimpered, trembling as he continued to inch away. With each step he took, Su Qingming mirrored his movements. Though he could not escape her grasp, she too was drawn closer to the boiling pot. A glimmer of cunning flashed in his eyes, though his expression remained one of abject fear. "Ning, I was wrong. I have wronged you in the past. I regret it deeply. When I was a child, I should not have claimed you pushed me when I fell, causing you to suffer my mother's wrath. I should not have pretended to trip and pushed Gu's wife, leading to her miscarriage. I should not have listened to my mother's malicious guidance and given her a poison sachet. As he wept and prostrated before Su Qingning, he appeared genuinely remorseful. Seeing her drawn perilously close to the scalding pot, Su Qingji's heart raced with excitement. He struggled to suppress a grin, continuing to feign pitifulness while inching sideways. Ning. I was merely a child, ignorant of right and wrong, led astray by others. Ning, I beg you, please let me live. Suddenly, seizing the opportune moment, Su Qingji lunged towards Su Qingning, intent on shoving her into the iron pot. Recognizing he could not overpower the bandits, he resigned himself to death, believing that if he could drag someone down with him, he would gain an advantage. Moreover, if he could throw Su Qingning into the pot, perhaps the bandits would be sated and spare him, allowing him another day of life. With every ounce of strength, he charged forward, nearly touching her when, in the next instant, he saw the corner of her mouth curve upwards. Her elegant right leg carved a graceful arc through the air before delivering a swift kick toward him. Ah no, Su Qingji had no time to evade. He felt a sharp pain in his abdomen as he was launched into the air, plummeting into the boiling pot like a dumpling. Splashing into the scalding water, he screamed, "Help! It's so hot! Save me!" The searing water enveloped him, turning his skin bright red and causing painful blisters to form. However, he could not swim at all, only thrashing and screaming in desperation. Cough, cough, save me. The more he screamed, the more scalding water he choked down. The boiling liquid rushed down his throat and into his stomach, and soon he deeply felt the torment of dual suffering from within. After a few more frantic flails, he completely lost his strength and sank beneath the water. Ah, Jir, ah, you actually killed him. Su Qingning, you vile creature, you demon, you actually killed Jir. Ah, I will fight you to the death. Mad with grief, Aunt Shin saw her beloved son kicked into the large pot by Su Qingning. Her already battered face, ruined by bandits, now twisted in a grotesque expression. She jumped up, intending to tear Su Qingning apart, but found herself ensnared by the ropes binding her. Her violent struggles only caused the Su family members connected to her to tumble over each other. In her loss of balance, she stumbled and fell to the ground. Aunt Shen's anguished cries startled the bandits. The self-proclaimed emperor, witnessing Su Qingning and her companion approaching him brazenly, was infuriated. He shouted, "How dare these ignorant children trample upon the dignity of my Xinghua kingdom? All feathered guards, seize them at any cost. I want their skins displayed at the palace gates for all nearby villagers to witness the consequences of defying my Xinghua kingdom." In a flash, Su Qingning and her companion had dispatched several robust bandits, a feat that indeed surpassed these bandits' expectations. Yet, the emperor, now coming to his senses, dismissed their prowess. Previously, he had underestimated them by sending merely a few men. Now, he had dispatched all his feathered guards, over 100 strong. It is said that 2 fists cannot withstand 4 hands. No matter how formidable these 2 were, they could not possibly contend with 100 brawny feathered guards. However, the next moment, he was utterly astonished by the sight before him. The woman hardly lifted a finger, while the man beside her merely drew his flexible sword and with a single swing, sent a dozen burly men crashing to the ground under the force of his formidable sword energy. In the next instant, another group of strong men fell, unable to rise again. The man moved with such speed that he appeared almost to leave an afterimage, his silver sword flashing so quickly it nearly dazzled the emperor's eyes. Before long, all of the emperor's possessions, his 100 or so feathered guards, lay defeated on the ground. It was then that the emperor realized the vast chasm between himself and these 2 death incarnates. He felt the breath of death drawing nearer, and terror-stricken, he slumped onto his earthen throne. "Great hero, please spare me." Su Qingning paid no heed to his pleas for mercy. She kicked aside the corpses obstructing her path and advanced towards the 2 individuals above her. The aura she exuded resembled that of a sovereign, rendering the self-proclaimed emperor and his advisor mere specks of dust in her presence. Curiosity piqued, she glanced at the fraudulent monk who had so easily manipulated the emperor, willingly tending to his whims. However, this glance was unwelcome. The monk possessed an utterly unremarkable face, with only his eyes darting about in a panic. Having already been terrified by her murderous demeanor, he was now paralyzed with fear as her cold gaze swept over him, shrinking further into his seat. With a disdainful scoff, Su Qingning advanced menacingly towards the now quaking emperor. "Heroine, please spare me. There must be some misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding? None at all. I am indeed here to trample upon the dignity of your Xinghua kingdom. Not only do I intend to trample upon your dignity, but I will also trample you underfoot." With a cold laugh, Su Qingning raised her foot and shattered the wooden table before the emperor. The sturdy table splintered, showering the emperor with dust and wood shavings. The force of her footfall caused the ground to tremble beneath them. The emperor, feeling the vibrations beneath him, was paralyzed with fear. Though he had ruled tyrannically for decades, he had never encountered such a formidable presence. Faced with such an absolute disparity in strength, he found himself unable to utter a single word, his legs giving way as he knelt and began to bang his head against the ground before Su Qingning. "Yes, yes, great heroine. You may trample the dignity of the Xinghua kingdom. I have no objections. Trample as you will, do as you please. Please spare me." I truly did not recognize your greatness. If you spare me this once, I will offer you the throne of the Xinghua kingdom, and I will serve you as a loyal subject for life. Huh. Keeping disgusting creatures like you as servants would be an insult to me. Su Qingning sneered, looming over the emperor like a mountain. Do you not delight in cooking people? After having cooked so many, I wonder if you have ever experienced what it feels like to be cooked yourself? You claim to enjoy the thrill of novelty. How about you experience the sensation of being cooked today? No. With a swift motion, Su Qingming tossed the emperor and the fleeing advisor into the bubbling pot of boiling water. Meanwhile, Xiao Huaishua had already dealt with a dozen or so generals seated at the banquet. The ants who had attempted to serve the bandits were thrown back into the midst of the Su family. The Su family members now huddled together, their faces pale with fear. They could hardly believe that Su Qingming had become so terrifying. Previously, during their exile, even when they had provoked her multiple times, she either ignored them or relied on Xiao Huaishua to handle them. Having never witnessed her true capabilities, they had thought her still the weak and easy target they could trample upon at will. Yet now, against the backdrop of the raging inferno in the bandit camp, Su Qingming approached them with an air of calm that sent chills down their spines. The once easily trampled little girl had vanished, transformed into a vengeful specter come to collect their souls. Su Bingsheng, nestled among the crowd, finally managed to regain his voice after a long pause. Attempting to act as if nothing had transpired, he stood up, brushing off the dust from his clothes, and forced a smile towards Su Qingming. Ah, Ningning has come to rescue us, hasn't she? Father knew it. Our Ningning is the most understanding, and she has not disappointed us this time. He even winked at the other Su family members. Look at our Ningning. She has truly grown up. She has slain so many bandits to save us. Remarkable. The surrounding ants also forced smiles, hastily agreeing. Yes. Ningning, you must be tired. It is truly commendable that you have killed so many for our sake. They say you can tell a child's future at 3 and an adult's at 7. I always said our Ningning would become an extraordinary figure, and look, I was right. Indeed, our eldest daughter and son-in-law are truly a match made in heaven. Together they swiftly eliminated over 100 bandits. The presence of a young lady and a suitor is truly a blessing that the Su family has accumulated over generations. Their previous audacity to bully the original owner stemmed solely from their perception of her as weak and foolish, akin to an ant that could be easily crushed beneath their feet. However, the power dynamics have shifted. Su Qingming now stands as the one capable of easily extinguishing their lives. Thus, even upon witnessing Su Qingming eliminate their cherished one, Su Bingsheng could only suppress his hatred and seek her favor, hoping she would overlook past grievances and grant leniency to the rest of the Su family. In an effort to mend their relationship, he would flatter her to the heavens. Yet despite their efforts, Su Qingming's expression remained inscrutable. Indeed, I have come to rescue you. Observing the palpable relief among the Su family, Su Qingming allowed a slight smile to grace her lips. The sufferings of this world. I shall swiftly escort you to paradise. Chapter 91. Settling scores with the Su family. Sending them to paradise. Su Bingsheng could hardly fathom that such chilling words were uttered by his once timid and foolish daughter. As if grappling with an insurmountable transformation, he felt a buzzing in his head and, overwhelmed, collapsed once again onto the ground. Su Qingming, you cannot treat us this way. The roaring flames behind her cast a crimson hue around the young girl, and her already enchanting eyes now glowed with an otherworldly allure. With a stoic expression, Su Qingming approached the Su family, wielding a large cleaver, the blade sparking against the ground as it glided through the earth. Su Bingsheng imagined the cleaver slicing through his own neck, sending a shiver through his heart. Realizing that emotional appeals were ineffective, he attempted a different approach. Inhaling deeply to steady himself and adopting a stern paternal demeanor. Su Qingming, do you hear the tone of your words? Is this how one speaks to their elders? If it were not for me, do you think you would even exist in this world? Without the Su family providing for you, do you think you could have grown up safely? After raising you for over a decade, you show no gratitude and instead turn against us with blades drawn. Do you not think this is inhumane? Humph. Let me tell you, if you were to kill us today, the whole world would know you as an ungrateful beast, disrespectful to your parents. Who would ever believe your words again? Who would dare to show you kindness? Gratitude? Thank you? Su Qingming halted several meters away from the Su family, coldly surveying the thick-skinned individuals before her. Ah, my dear father, I truly must thank you. Thank you for deceiving my mother for the sake of a wealthy suitor, for offering her to your superior to be toyed with, and when she was of no further use, conspiring with the Shun family to poison her, robbing me of my mother's protection and subjecting me to a life worse than that of a pig or a dog in the Su residence. The original owner's past experiences unfolded vividly before Su Qingming's eyes, revealing the young girl who endured scorn from every corner of the Su household, relentlessly beaten by anyone who was in a foul mood. Waves of indignation washed over her, causing her eyes to glisten with unshed tears, her body trembling slightly. She understood that these emotions were remnants of the original owner's unquenched vengeance, deeply embedded within her. Today, she would bring closure, allowing the unfortunate girl, who had faced misfortune since birth, to find peace. With a cold gaze, Su Qingming regarded Su Bingxing, offering him a disdainful smile. Indeed, I should express my gratitude to you, my dear father. Thank you for allowing me to experience the treachery of human nature at such an early age. How could you know all this? Su Bingxing's pupils dilated, sweat cascading from his forehead to his neck, yet he could not muster the will to wipe it away, instead retreating in fear. If he had harbored any hope of intimidating this girl, it had been extinguished. Su Qingming was terrifying. She knew secrets thought buried. Even more alarming was the realization that, having shared living quarters with everyone for over 20 days, Su Qingming had not just discovered these long-hidden truths recently. The only possibility was that she had known all along. She had endured for over a decade, pretending to be oblivious to the source of her misfortune, her father. The notion of reincarnation was too far-fetched for Su Bingxing to entertain. He instinctively believed that Su Qingming had merely been playing the part of the unsuspecting fool. The more he contemplated, the more horrified he became, recognizing that the extent of his eldest daughter's terrifying potential had far exceeded his comprehension. Seeing Su Bingxing tremble in fear, Su Qingming scoffed disdainfully, shifting her gaze to the paralyzed Su Qingyin. And you, my dear sister, I owe you my gratitude as well. Thank you for your cunning schemes at such a tender age, for pushing me into the pond and deceitfully guiding venomous creatures to my bed. You even allowed your servant to violate the nurse who had cared for me as her own daughter, leading her to take her own life in despair. Su Qingyin, I truly thank you for revealing that a person can harbor such malice at such a young age. And no, it wasn't me. My mother made me do it. Su Qingming, don't come any closer. Terrified by the bloody scene before her, Su Qingyin's eyes widened in horror, her expression contorted as she dragged her sodden self backward. Su Qingming found even a glance at her repugnant, and continued to direct her attention toward the cowering Zhao Yinyang. And you, Zhao Yinyang, you were once the favored maidservant of the Shen family. It was only after Su Bingxing drunkenly took advantage of you that you were elevated to the status of a concubine. All the vile plots against my mother and me were orchestrated by you, including the poison you personally administered to her. I truly should thank you for demonstrating that ill-natured individuals often create chaos. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. You lie, Zhao Yinyang. Already fragile in mind from Su Qingming's previous venomous encounter, now saw Su Qingming's visage, so reminiscent of Gu Shi, flickering ominously in the firelight. In her delusion, it seemed as if Gu Shi had come to exact revenge, causing her to tremble uncontrollably and weep. And you, Luo Yinyang, Zhang Yinyang, Shen Yinyang. One by one, Su Qingming called out their names, each recipient paling and freezing in place, as if listening to a judgment from the depths of hell. Every grievance the original owner had suffered over the years was articulated with striking clarity. In that moment, Su Qingming felt the burdens of resentment and injustice that had long been lodged within her heart dissipate with each word she spoke. Today, she would finally settle the score for the original owner. From this day forth, this body would wholly belong to her, a traveler from the 22nd century. Su Qingming felt an unprecedented lightness. Concealing her actions with the sleeve of her garment, she retrieved a thunderous cannon from the spatial realm, a cold smile gracing her lips. Look at this, she said. I truly ought to express my gratitude to you all for allowing me, at such a tender age, to witness just how malicious a person can be. Such a grand favor. What could I possibly offer in return? Should I pierce each of you with a blade? Or shall I send this thunderous cannon directly to the underworld? The members of the Su family, well versed in the ways of the world, were acutely aware of the cannon's formidable power. As Su Qingming leisurely brandished the explosive in her hand, they were utterly paralyzed with fear, fervently bowing their heads in supplication. Only Aunt Shen managed to maintain a semblance of composure, her face a disfigured mass, yet her gaze remained piercingly sharp. Su Qingming, let me and Ener go, and I shall divulge a great secret to you. Are you not curious? Your maternal family is as wealthy as a nation, and it would be most advantageous for you to curry favor with your mother and forge a strong alliance with your maternal kin. Why then, have we resorted to murdering your mother and consistently undermining the power of your maternal family? Release me and Ener, and I shall reveal all.